Visual art is a universal human concept. From drawings to ceramics, paintings, and film, art is a part of the human condition. Humans have depicted everything. From ancient cave paintings to protest art, we have visualized and memorialized almost anything and everything. Mexican art is no different. There are a few key styles that distinguishes Mexican art. Quite commonly, murals and surrealist art styles were utilized to tell the history of Mexico or to tell the story of artists. Another key style of Mexican art are artencias, or crafts. The most famous of crafts being the calavera, often spotted during the Mexican holiday, Dia de los Muertos. And of course, you can't talk about Mexican art without mentioning ceramics and pottery. Over the years, art from Mexico transformed as the country transformed to what it is today. Initially, you had various indigenous people, like the Olmecs and the Aztec, creating calendars and hieroglyphs. When Spanish colonizers came to the New World, the people of Mexico depicted the atrocities that the indigenous population faced. During the Mexican Revolution, the invention of photography helped to depict the gritty reality for the fight for independence. Today, artists from Mexico and of Mexican descent depict the history and the culture of Mexico and modern issues that the country and its descendants face. Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Explore El Paso. I'm your host, Carmen Arriola, and today we are at Flor de Barro Gallery, located at 6721 West Wing Drive. I'm joined by the co-owner of the gallery, Andrea Calleros. Andrea, thank you so much for opening your doors and showing all this beautiful art, not only to me, but to the whole world.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
What inspired the opening of the Flor de Barro Gallery? Why was it established?
Honestly, opening Flor de Barro was a little bit of an impulse decision. So this is a family-owned and operated gallery, and I began this project back in 2018 with both my parents. My parents started traveling very seriously about 10 years ago, and through their travels, they started collecting art. They've always appreciated handmade. My grandfather was a painter, and so, the appreciation for art comes from there. It really began when they traveled to Istanbul, Turkey. 2018. And so my parents, wanted to buy a nice piece of ceramic from over there. And so they visited this gallery that was apparently very, very beautiful. I haven't been. And they loved it, and they thought, well, this is the dream job. And so it kind of stuck with them. And so when they came back, we were having dinner one day, and we were looking around at their pieces, and they were showing me what they've got. And my dad says, we don't have anything Mexican. And he's like, this is weird. We're Mexican. Why don't we have any Mexican art? And so he thought about it for a few weeks, and then he decided we were going to travel to Mata Ortiz. So Mata Ortiz is a town that's about 3.5 hours away from here in the state of Chihuahua. Mm-hmm. And so we had been there when I was maybe about 5 years old. We went once, and I remember going into the galleries, and we went to Juan Quesada's gallery. Juan is a very famous artist. And, we came out of there a little bit scared of the prices, like, wow, this is very expensive. I feel that it really stuck with them. And so my dad said, maybe we should take a trip down to Mata Ortiz and maybe, purchase a few pieces. And, now that we're in a better economic position. So they took a trip down there for the weekend, and my dad came back with over a dozen pots because he got a little bit carried away. He loved it. Yeah, and then so the idea kind of just really spun from there. It's like we have this town that sells some of the most amazing pottery in Mexico so close to us. And then there's nothing like that here in El Paso. There's a lot of great art galleries, but there's nothing that really markets Mexican folk art. And so, we kind of just shoot on that idea for a couple of months. This was around, I want to say July. By November,
2018?
Yes, of 2018. And by November, we had already chosen a name. We already started working on logos, finding a place for the gallery. By March 2019, we were open. So it was just kind of an impulse decision, and we kind of just jumped on it. I graduated from UTEP with a media advertising degree and a minor in marketing. And so I did have that background. So, it kind of just came together. He said, I can pay for the gallery, and then you can run it and market it. And that's really how it started. And it's been an amazing journey since then.
And is there a reason why the gallery chose Flor de Barro as a name?
Yes. So the name Flor de Barro, it's a metaphor. And it is a metaphor for all the things that people are able to create from simple materials such as clay. And so clay may be just as good as dirt for a lot of people, but for this artist, they're able to create all these amazing artworks that we have here on display at the gallery. And so we just kind of wanted to find a name that kind of communicated that. And we wanted to keep it in Spanish as well, just to keep true to our brand.
How has COVID-19 affected the gallery?
COVID-19 has been hard on our gallery because we're also a very young gallery. So as I said, we opened in 2019, and then the pandemic went into full blown in 2020. And so we had actually just celebrated our first anniversary. We had a Esgrafito Mata Ortiz class, we had an event. And it was that weekend right before quarantine truly started. By that Monday, we decided, you know what, let's close just for a few weeks until this blows over and we figure out what's going to happen. We never really thought it was going to get this way. I remember first hearing about it and, thinking like, it's too far away from here, nothing's gonna happen, and then it's here. And
El Paso was a hotspot, correct?
Yes, El Paso was a huge hotspot for it at the beginning. And so we wanted to protect, we're a family operated business, we're family run. So I wanted to protect my parents, and we wanted to protect our clients as well. We have a lot of older clients. We didn't really want to put anybody at risk. So we said, okay, let's just wait it out and see. Obviously, this turned into over a year, and we depend a lot on events to bring people into the gallery, and so that has greatly affected us. The border closure as well, because we cannot have our artist presentations every month as we did before, our classes, everything. And then also, one of the huge reasons why we decided to open the gallery and why we do this is because we like to support Mexican art. So one thing that you have to take into account, especially when it comes to Mexican folk art, and I'm pretty sure I can apply this to pretty much almost every artist that it hasn't, skyrocketed, into fame, is that it's hard to make a living off of art. And so a lot of galleries, they'll have pieces and then they pay the artist once it sells, or they pay 50%, and there's different arrangements. We actually pay upfront the artist before we acquire the piece. So by the time that it's here, it's ours, because they cannot afford, to just be paid 50% or to be paid until it sells. That's not how it works. And so if we want to be supportive, we need to be able to do that. So that makes things a little bit harder as well. And so during the pandemic, a lot of artists were having a really tough time. And so the Mata Ortiz community has been very welcoming for us. They have been very supportive of our gallery, and they were really having a tough time, as well as many other artists during the pandemic. And so what we did is that we came out with a special catalog that we released to our collectors and our very close clients. We heavily discounted the pieces, almost at cost, just so that they could, we can sell them fast. And that way, let's say that if we sold a Tabo Silveira piece, we would go to him and buy another piece so that we could keep that money flowing. And so that's really how we adjusted to the pandemic to try to help our artists.
So would it be right to say you're essentially cutting out the middleman of other galleries, and rather since you're buying directly from these artists, you're making it easier for the artists to make a living and to sell all this art to clients?
Yes, so we deal directly with artists. There are some artists, for example, in Mata Ortiz, there's a few galleries that we've gone really close to that are managed also by other artists from the community, and so sometimes they'll facilitate, for us to purchase from several artists. But it really, all the money stays in Mata Ortiz, or the town that we're purchasing from, regardless of where it is. So yes, we try to make sure that the artist gets, the most money as possible. We don't negotiate prices. So for example, if an artist tells us, this is $3,000, and that's something that, we wouldn't be able to afford, or we wouldn't be able to sell or anything like that, we don't say, can I get it for $1,000? We just say, no, thank you. We do not like to devalue the art. That's something that we're very respectful about.
Why is it important to display and sell Mexican art?
It's very important for me personally because it's my culture. I moved here from Mexico when I was only 12 years old. And so it's something that I like to keep close. I like to feel at home. I like, showing people what my culture is all about. And I think, during the last few years, there's been a lot of stigma and a lot of, how would I put it? A lot of bad publicity about Mexico, There's been a lot of polarization when it comes to the immigration situation, the violence in Mexico. A lot of people are afraid to go to Mexico. And so we want to share a little bit. We want to introduce it to people and for people to just open up their mind a little bit about what Mexico has to offer, because Mexico is a country that is so rich in culture and in art and all kinds of beautiful things, food. And so that's something that we like to share. We just kind of wanted to show people what our culture is like. That's something that's really important to us. We try to do some cultural events as well, like Day of the Dead. We set up an altar. We invite people to come over and participate, bring photos of their loved ones who have passed away. A lot of people have tried pan de muerto for the first time here, which is the bread of the dead, I guess. That's the translation for it. So, we like to share our culture, and that's why it's so important to us. We want people to not be afraid of Mexico.
Why does the gallery choose to sell the art of particular artists? Can any artist come into contact with Flor de Barro to hopefully have their art sold as well?
So we go through a selection process, of course. We like to keep our art true to being Mexican folk art. So that's really our only, I guess that's one of our...
Your main selling point.
Yeah, yes, that is our main selling point, but it's also, how we select artists. It does have to be folk art. We go through a selection process. We seek out artists ourselves, as well as they reach out to us. And so they send us photos, and then we go, like I said, we go through the selection process. So everything that you see here is actually handpicked by us completely. Everything is selected completely by us. Another thing that we do to select artists, there is a book that is published every few years, and it's called The Great Masters of Mexican Folk Art, and it's published by the Banamex Foundation. Great book, and it contains, some of the best masters of art in Mexico currently. And so we also go through those. We try to have a lot of artists that have come out in that book, and so we have Juan Quesada, we have Hilario Madrigal, we have Jesus Guerrero Santos, we have art from the Pajarito family that comes from Tonalá, Jeronimo Ramos. So we do have plenty of those artists here, and we're very proud of that.
So I'm aware that Flor de Barro, they mostly sell ceramic types of art, but is there any other kind of art that the gallery specializes in selling?
I would say our specialty is ceramics, right? However, we do have other types of art. We have yarn paintings, and those are a type of not a literal painting. So they're made on wood and it's covered by beeswax, and then the artist will start pressing yarn into it to create really beautiful colorful designs. And those are traditionally made by the Huichol people, and those come from Nayarit. We have beautiful hammer copper, traditionally made and hand painted, made in Michoacan. And so the art that we have that is made out of copper, it's by the artisan Sergio Velázquez, who's an award winner artist in Mexico. He's wonderful. We have some jewelry. We also have some prints that are made with a method called intaglio, made by Sergio Rodriguez, who's also a painter. So we do carry many things, but our specialty is ceramics.
Some people are going to have the impression that all this art is too expensive, and it's an expensive thing that's only going to sit there and collect dust, and basically an overrated paperweight in a way. I'm so sorry to say that.
No, that's okay.
What do you think of this mentality, and how would you help people change this mentality if you could?
We actually get a lot of people that don't know much about Mexican art when they walk in. Somebody recommended it, and so they walk in. And we love to tell stories about our artists. We love to tell them how the process is made, how difficult it is sometimes to create some of these pieces. For example, everything that you're seeing around, they look very perfect. And did you know that they don't use a pottery wheel to do it? It's all completely hand-shaped.
Really?
Wow. And so I think that's a really great way of changing people's perspective once you kind of take them through the stories of the artists and the process. And, all these artists, he was taught by his mother or his father. And then we have here another piece of their father. So you can see how it's kind of going down the generational line, all that stuff. It really touches people, and they end up coming out of here very, very happy. So we've actually been able to create a lot of collectors through that. So I think information and openness and just, being very welcoming is the best way to change people's minds. People really learn to appreciate all the hard work that goes into creating these amazing pieces. And so, it won't be for everybody, and that's okay. But it's really about knowing how you're taking, a little bit of a little piece of the artist with you once you take one of their pieces.
Essentially a piece of their heart and their soul.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Actually, right here, this piece that we have right there, that is, if you can see, it's half a heart and half a brain. And so the whole concept about it is, the creation of art, what goes through the artisan when he's creating. And of course, you have to imagine it and, plan it, but it also comes from the heart. And that's exactly what the artist is trying to show.
Is there a particular piece that you like?
I like everything. Let me think. Honestly, this is one of my favorite artists, Tabo Silveira. He's from Mata Ortiz. As you can see, the quality in his pieces, it's pretty clear from the beginning once you look at it. I would say I do have a preference for Mata Ortiz art because of its history, of its people. Many of them have become friends with us. So I've just become so appreciative of the whole culture that comes from there. So I would say Mata Ortiz is one of my favorites.
What are some future plans for the gallery?
Once it becomes a little bit safer to plan more events and whatnot, and the border opens, because we usually invite artists, every month to do a presentation here. And so some of my future plans are hosting more ceramic classes. We hosted one before, only one before the pandemic, where a Mata Ortiz artist came in and he taught traditional methods on how to make them. We end up firing them in the very last day, and so everybody gets to take their little piece of ceramic home. So I want to do more of that. I want to do more classes. I want people to be more involved in the process and learn exactly what it takes. Because I think that will generate so much more appreciation for it. I want to bring more traditional classes, not just from Mata Ortiz, but from other areas in Mexico. I want to be able to showcase many more artists, from further down in Mexico, not just the north. I would love to also create some more large-scale events in which I can invite many more artists to show their art and to sell and to be known. I'm also working on getting together all the histories of the artists that we carry. A lot of the histories are not very well documented, and so to me that's very important. And so I'm doing a process of interviewing artists, getting as much information as I can and making that available online for people to really find out who these artists are, what inspires them, what defines their style, and all that good stuff.
That's very nice that you want to invite these Mexican artists to the gallery to demonstrate their art and other techniques that go into making all these pieces. What do you say to people who might be afraid to come because, Spanish is spoken in Mexico and maybe not all these artists speak English? What would you say to the people who are like, oh, I don't speak Spanish, I don't want to go, I'm afraid of that language barrier?
Of the language barrier? Well, that's never been a problem. A lot of artists that we brought, they speak a little bit of English, but most Spanish. And that's never been a problem because once they come in and they see them working on their art, it just completely blows them away. And so people are just so focused on seeing the process. And also we're always around to help. So, I've served as a translator many times here, and I will keep doing it because that's the whole point of this gallery, to share. And so I'm very much willing to help out.
Any last statements that you would like to share?
I would like to invite everybody to come out, support our artists. You don't even have to come and, purchase a piece or anything like that. If you just want to come and tour the gallery, I'm more than happy to provide that for everybody. I love talking. I love getting to know people, and I think this will be a great experience. So I would really want to invite everybody to just give our gallery a chance and come see it.
Sharing all the history and all the beautiful art and every little aspect that goes into everything here, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I love sharing.
And I appreciate you sharing all of this with me today.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
All right, there you have it, folks. Flor de Barro Gallery, located at 6721 Westland Drive. Thank you, Andrea, once again for opening your doors and showing not only me, but the world all of this beautiful art. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
All right, I'm Favianna, and this is
Explore El Paso.